The screen flickered violently, showing jump scares so fast they couldn't have been programmed into an indie build, flashing images of car crashes, hospital corridors, bodies I swear I recognized but couldn't place. It wasn't just code, it was pulling from somewhere. From us. Ryan whispered, almost to himself. It knows we're watching. That's when the shadows inside the room started to move, not on the screen but across my own wall, stretching in sync with the game. And that's when I realized, it wasn't just a game anymore. The next glitch didn't look like gameplay at all. The scene tore apart, polygons shattering into black static, then reforming into something I knew too well, our street. Same cracked sidewalk, same crooked lamppost outside Ryan's place. His character stood at the end of it, but there were no NPCs this time. Just the empty silence of a space that should never exist inside a game. Ryan opened the file properties, maybe to prove it was just some elaborate mod. But the details made my skin crawl. Created February 14, 2031. Modified unknown. And under owner. It didn't say a username. It read property of redacted. That's when I checked the forum thread again. Gone. Every post. Every username. Like it had never existed. I searched the cache version, but even those had vanished. The people who'd left warnings, the ones begging others not to play, they weren't just deleted. It was like they'd been erased. Listen to me, if your cache ever shows a file called reapergame.exe, delete it immediately. Don't try to run it. Don't even try to peek. Because once it knows your system, it knows you. And here's the worst part, I think it's bigger than just one game. The usernames I traced? They'd popped up in other lost media forums, in posts about files that didn't stay downloaded. No one ever heard from those people again. I begged Ryan to stop. He didn't listen. And the shadows, God, the shadows. They didn't follow the light. They moved against it, stretching toward Ryan instead of away. Sometimes they split off and lingered behind him, like the game was keeping track of his steps. Minutes stretched like hours. The silences between whispers pressed down on me harder than the sounds themselves, like the game was waiting, listening. I won't tell you every detail. Some things I saw that night still creep into my dreams, and I wouldn't wish them on anyone. But I'll say this, the deeper Ryan went, the clearer it became that the game wasn't simulating a world, it was reflecting ours, bending it, twisting it into something that wanted him inside. And then the game turned violent. The next area loaded like a glitch, textures smeared across the screen, the audio stuttering in bursts of static. When it finally stabilized, Ryan's character stood in a dim, empty room. At first it seemed random, just another creepy set piece, until I noticed the posters on the wall. They weren't generic textures. They were pictures of us. Screenshots from old gaming sessions, blurry selfies we'd sent as jokes. Ryan hesitated, moving his character forward. That's when the avatars appeared. They looked like our friends, people from Discord, people we knew in real life, but their faces were wrong. Eyes missing. Mouths stitched into permanent screams. One by one, they collapsed to the floor, twitching like broken puppets. I felt my stomach lurch. Dude, turn it off. This isn't funny anymore. Before Ryan could answer, a new sound cut through the static, a whisper, clear and deliberate. Why are you still here? Ryan froze. His webcam light clicked on by itself. I could see his reflection in the corner of his monitor, and then I saw something else. My own face, staring back from inside the game. Of course, he downloaded it anyway. When Ryan booted it up, I expected the usual. Low-res textures, some gloomy soundtrack ripped off YouTube, maybe a recycled jump scare or two. At first, that's exactly what it looked like, a crude title screen, jagged fonts, static hissing behind the music. Nothing impressive. But the longer we stared, the more wrong it felt. The menu options didn't just sit there, they pulsed, like veins under skin. The cursor dragged slower than it should have, almost resisting Ryan's movements. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Ryan laughed, already clicking new game. Instead of the usual, name your character prompt, a questionnaire popped up. Birth date. City. Favorite food. Things no game had any reason to ask. I thought it was just a gimmick, but the questions kept getting more personal. Mother's maiden name. The street you grew up on. I leaned closer to my mic. Dude, this is SUS. It's like a phishing scam with a horror skin. Ryan just smirked, typing nonsense answers. But even then, the game reacted. When he typed 1234 as his age, the text box flickered red, then corrected itself, 20. His real age. The air in my room felt heavy. Then the game addressed him by name. At first, the game dropped Ryan into what looked like a generic horror map, a dimly lit street, cracked pavement, and a faint fog that blurred everything beyond a few feet. Pretty standard stuff. But as he moved forward, I realized the layout looked familiar. The corner store on the left had the same faded sign as the one near Ryan's house. The bus stop had the same graffiti I passed every morning. It wasn't some random map. It was our town. The NPCs didn't act right either. They stood frozen in place, heads tilted at unnatural angles. When Ryan got close, their mouths moved in jerky spasms, whispering things that didn't sync with the subtitles. Words like, "We see you," and "He's next," crawled through the speakers in distorted, overlapping voices. Threads titled, "Games You Shouldn't Play," or "Files That Vanish After Download." Most were trolls, some were lazy ARGs. But the deeper you dug, the stranger it got. Ryan lived for this stuff. He loved scrolling the sketchy corners of the internet, looking for something authentic. Me? I went along with it, half for the nostalgia, half because, well, what else do you do at 2 a.m.? That's when he found a post that didn't belong. The thread didn't even have a proper title. Just a string of corrupted symbols, like someone had smashed their keyboard and hit post. At first glance, it looked like spam, one of those dead-end threads where bots dump garbage links. But Ryan clicked it anyway. Inside were three things: a blurred screenshot, a broken megalink, and a comment chain that felt off. The screenshot was dark, nearly black, but if you squinted you could make out what looked like a menu screen, just a single word in jagged red letters, play. "Dude, this looks like every knockoff creepypasta game ever," I said. Ryan chuckled. "That's exactly why it's perfect." Most of the replies had been deleted, leaving only fragments. A few survived, though. One user wrote, "Don't download. They'll know you logged in." Another claimed their hard drive fried after running the file. A third just said, "It doesn't stop at the screen." Classic bait. I muttered, but Ryan was already leaning closer to his monitor, eyes lighting up like he'd struck gold. The mega link was dead, but further down the thread someone had posted a re-upload. The file name wasn't even subtle. It read, reapergame_setup.exe. Ryan grinned at me through his webcam. "Tell me that isn't the most try-hard name you've ever seen." I tried to laugh, but my stomach nodded. There was something about that thread, like the words were written for us.
If you're watching this, it means I failed to get him back. I need you to understand something before I go any further. This isn't one of those overblown, haunted video game rumors you've seen 1,000 times online. This is real. And if you're smart, you'll close this right now. But I know you won't, because I didn't either. Curiosity has a way of pulling you in, even when you can feel it burning holes in your gut. My best friend disappeared after playing an online horror game that shouldn't exist. A game I begged him not to open, even though part of me wanted to see it too. You'd think gaming is harmless, right? Just screens and code, no different than any late-night Discord session or Steam download. But that's the contrast I can't shake. Something so normal, so safe, turned into something I can't even describe without my skin crawling. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you everything I saw. But once you know, you can unknow. That's the curse of it. Once the game finds you, it doesn't let go. Let me start at the beginning, before he clicked play. Me and Ryan had this routine. Every Friday night, after classes and crappy fast food, we'd hop on Discord and pull up whatever weird games we could dig out of the internet's basement. You know the kind, half-broken Unity projects, pixel horror knockoffs, and those bootleg creepypasta titles people swore were cursed. Most of them were laughable. We'd spend hours cracking jokes about them. Ryan would do this over-the-top YouTuber voice. Top 10 scariest jump scares. And I'd add fake screams, pretending we'd found something terrifying. We grew up on Slender Man, Five Nights at Freddy's, all the classics that felt world-ending when we were kids. But the older we got, the funnier they seemed. Just cheap scares on a glowing screen. That night wasn't supposed to be any different. It was late, way past midnight, and we were in one of those obscure forums where people traded .zip files like contraband.
Both stopped replying. One deleted all their socials overnight. The other, just gone. Even my inbox isn't safe. Anonymous emails, subject line. Delete it. All time-stamped in the future. Which brings me here, writing this before it's too late. If you've made it this far, I need you to listen carefully. I can't be the only one. If you've seen this game, if you've even heard whispers of it, tell me. Leave a comment. Share anything. I need to know I'm not alone in this. Because every night it feels closer. The static, the whispers, the way my screen flickers even when it's off. I don't know how much longer I can fight it. Some of you are probably already searching for it. Maybe you think this is just another story, another creepypasta. But I'm warning you, don't look. Don't even type the name. Still, if you do find it, and that corrupted file ends up in your downloads folder, remember this. You're not playing the game. The game is playing you. Ryan leaned back, smirking like he always did when he thought I was overreacting. Relax, man. One last round, then I'll delete it. Promise. He slipped his headset on before I could argue. On screen, his avatar trudged across a barren plain, nothing but static shadows stretching into endless dark. No enemies, no obstacles, just a void that seemed to swallow the sound itself. I remember the way the silence felt, pressing against my ears like a weight. Then his character stopped walking. The camera angle tilted slowly, deliberately, like the game itself was looking back at us. The figure stepped into the pitch black, swallowed whole. The monitor flickered. I turned to make some sarcastic comment, but his chair was empty. Empty. No sound. No scream. Just his headset, rocking gently on the seat where he'd been seconds before. My stomach dropped. I swear to you, I watched him sitting there. I heard his breathing. I saw his hand twitch on the mouse. And then, nothing. The room felt colder. The glow from the screen pulsed, like it was waiting for me. And that's when I knew I was next. I wish I could tell you it ended that night. That I walked away and never looked back. But the game didn't let me. The first night, I dreamed of it, Ryan's avatar dissolving into static, that low distorted laughter looping like a broken cassette. Every time I woke up, I swore I could still hear it, faint and muffled, seeping from my computer tower even though it was turned off. A week later, my PC started booting itself up at 3:03 a.m. sharp. Always the same time. No login screen, no desktop, just a black window with lines of code flickering too fast to read. The last line always said, "Do not share." I tried anyway. Posted on forums, dropped hints in lost media threads. But every time I did, the posts vanished within minutes. Entire threads nuked. Mods claimed they never existed. I sent the file to 2 other friends, desperate for someone to believe me.